It's Kevin Keatsman Uncanceled on 95.7 FM, KCMO Talk Radio.
Good morning, Kansas City. Welcome to Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7. I am Kevin Keatsman, and we're having a great week in Kansas City with the gorgeous weather and the basketball tournament and all the fun things going on. I'm still broadcasting from our Southwest Outpost as we've been spending some time around the Royals for spring training and looking forward to the start of the season just a couple of weeks away. But, man, there's a lot of stuff going on. And we have much to discuss on the broadcast today, including some crazy lawsuits you may not have heard of. What's going on in sports? Why is everybody fighting? Like literally everywhere we're seeing violence at games. We'll chronicle a few of those for you. Baggage policies changing on airlines yet again, and a giant crackdown in Houston and the state of Texas against illegal aliens. It's all ahead on Uncanceled on this Tuesday, where we just got an incredible post by Donald Trump. This thing with Canada is getting serious, and he's not going to back down. And I don't know what that means for the stock market or our economy or people who work in the upper Midwest along the populated part of the border with Canada. I'm not smart enough to figure all that out, but I know this in the end. The United States is so much bigger and powerful than Canada in every single way that this is a fight you can't lose. I don't see how you can possibly lose. It's getting really nasty. This Doug Ford in Ontario, and now the change of Trudeau out and the crazy leftist globalist that's never been elected to anything that they've brought in, are all talking big about how they're going to stand up to the United States. This is never going to escalate to violence or anything like that, but what does it mean for the way that we all live? We all interact with Canadians. We do. Now, I'm in the Phoenix area, and the Phoenix area is loaded with Canadians. I mean loaded with them. They're everywhere. There are specific, neighborhoods with houses. There are specific condominium complexes and places like that are built by Canadian companies. They target Canadian investors and people to come spend the winters down here, and it's entirely Canadian. Like you could have 300 or 400 residents in one condo community down here that are all from Canada, and they still live there year round, but they come down here for 4 or 5 months a year. It's what they do. So there's a lot of I've been around a lot of Canadians. We get into our place, and we needed a few things done here. And my wife, when we were down here visiting Spencer a couple months ago, had met a guy at a golf course. They're at the turn getting a hot dog or whatever, and he's the next guy in line. Hey, whatever, da-da-da-da. And they're waiting for, in line, and she learns that he's a handyman, and he just couldn't be a nicer guy. His business, literally, and it's very popular in Phoenix, is called the Handy Canuck. Obviously, you know who he's catering to is Canadian second homeowners and people that vacation here, VRBO, for 3 months. They need things done, and he comes and does it all. So he comes and does this work for us, and he came by a couple of times. Just couldn't have been a better guy. Had another guy that worked with him that was like all MAGA. I said, guys, I'm running to Chick-fil-A. Do you want lunch today? And Matt, the guy from Canada, says, sure, I'll take Chick-fil-A. And the other guy, Dave, who works for him, says, no, I had elk breakfast stew this morning. I'm good. Like he's this hunter guy. He's like total MAGA. American, I got guns, I shoot animals, I carve them up, and I eat them. I'm like, okay, this is interesting. I got a Canadian, and so I'm the guy, man. I just bring it up. I'm like, this is getting weird, man, other than the hockey thing the other night, which was kind of cool. I tried to talk hockey with him, and we started getting into MAGA, and it didn't seem like Matt really mattered or cared all that much. But we're all interacting with Canadians, and Trump today has just taken this thing up a notch, like really taken it up a notch. I'm going to read for you part of his post of what he's doing to Canada. Canada is putting a tariff on electricity that's going into northern Michigan, places in across the border, Detroit. There are places that use, apparently, waterways from Canada produce electricity, and we are now going to have to pay a tariff on that. So Trump posts about an hour ago, based on Ontario, Canada placing a 25% tariff on electricity coming into the United States, I've instructed my Secretary of Commerce to add an additional 25% tariff to 50% on all steel and aluminum coming into the United States from Canada, one of the highest tariffing nations anywhere in the world. This will go into effect tomorrow morning, March 12th. Also, Canada must immediately drop, I did not know this, their anti-American farmer tariffs of 250 to 390% on various United States dairy products, which has long been considered outrageous. I will shortly be declaring a national emergency on electricity within the threatened area. This will allow the U.S. to quickly do what needs to be done to alleviate this abusive threat from Canada. If other egregious long-time tariffs are not likewise dropped by Canada, I will substantially increase on April 2nd the tariffs on cars coming into the U.S., which will essentially permanently shut down the automobile manufacturing business in Canada. Now, I believe that. And I give Trump a lot of credit that people on the left or his critics will never give him credit for. We have watched in the opening salvo here, the first 50 days or whatever it's been of the Trump presidency, we have watched a man who clearly has planned all this out. He didn't just put his hand on the Bible, go over to the White House and start throwing things and see if they stick. This has all been planned out. And I'm promising you they thought these tariff things through. And they're probably knowing Canada's moves before Canada makes a move. And the ultimate move that he has with Canada is, we're going to shut down your automobile industry. If you're in charge in Canada and your manufacturing plants shut down and all those people lose jobs because of your tariff policy against us, we're going to tariff you back. And I promise you, Trump and Elon Musk, who is, by the way, Teslas are the single most American cars we have. I don't know if anybody knows that or not. They have the most American parts, most American assembly, most American everything. They're the most American car on earth. We've seen a lot of high-profile stories of Trump dealing with Mexico, saying we're going to bring those plants to America. We're not going to make cars in Mexico. Well, they're working it out to where there's not going to be tariffs, and Mexico may be okay. But if this is where Canada wants to go and they want to fight, he's going to take the car business away from them. And I promise he's worked with all the manufacturers in the U.S. We just saw Honda announce that they're going to build Civics in Indianapolis. They're building plants. BMW's in South Carolina. Like Toyota makes trucks in Kentucky and Texas. And we've got all these global brands that make cars here. They can ramp it up. We know they can work around the clock if they need to. And this is where this thing is heading. I think he's thought it through. And I think cars are probably the big one. I think if Canada is facing shutdown of its car plants and not sending any vehicles across the border and selling them in the United States, that's a huge problem. And those manufacturers will simply come to America. They're going to leave Canada and come here. There would be no reason to continue operations in Canada. I don't have the numbers, but it stands to reason that Canada exports more vehicles to the United States than any other country on earth, that they export those to. This is a real threat. And who knew there were 300% tariffs on our farmers for dairy goods going into Canada? It's got to stop. And then he goes into his rant that he always does about we're the most powerful nation in the world, and if Canada joined, you'd be bigger, better, and stronger. You'd have lower taxes. Your economy would be better. You'd be protected better than ever. And we will continue to let you play "O Canada," your beautiful anthem, to represent the powerful state of Canada within the greatest nation of the world. So he turns to the humorous Trump after doing all this, but these tariffs are getting really serious. And Wall Street hates it. And a lot of people are freaking out, and they're selling. This is not exact, but it reminds me a little bit of the first few weeks of COVID. If you remember that, the stock market, I think at that time was around 31,000. This would be the Dow Jones. And it plummeted down to, I think at its low, somewhere around 18,000 or 19,000. And everybody was selling and saying, I'm never going to own stocks again. That's it. I'm done. Man, when it goes down, I'm not telling you what to do. But if you had money on the sidelines, this is a heck of a dip that we've had. Ride it out. Let it keep dipping. Let the tariff thing go. It's going to be a great time to buy equities, I believe. I think it's going to be a great opportunity for a whole lot of people who are, maybe not into the markets, or maybe it's not your thing, or maybe your portfolio is such. If you're older and you've got a 401k, maybe it's got a whole bunch in bonds, and maybe you've got some cash tucked away, or you've put most of your money in real estate. There's going to be an opportunity here. There is going to be an opportunity because this economy is going to boom. It is just a matter of time. Now, it may be a year. It may be a year and a half. It may stink for a while. I don't know, because I don't like it any more than you do. I don't like it at all, in fact. But I'm lucky. There's a lot of people in their 70s and 80s that are living off their retirement. And if you're living off that and you're watching it shrink right now, it's driving you crazy. I know how hard that can be. I'm still, as a young man on KCMO Talk Radio, I like to get that in every time I can, as a Gen Xer, I still have plenty of time until retirement. So I've got time to let it build back up and figure out what we've got, and that's all okay. Not everybody is in that boat, and I understand that. And I want to be open to everybody's fears, troubles, or issues with things that are going on. But my big picture message today is, how do we possibly lose tariff wars? That doesn't even seem possible. Like, we overconsume for our population. We're 360 million people. We consume like 1.5 billion. We consume our GDP, the money that we spend in this country just destroys everyone. We're big, fat cat, wealthy Americans, even though we don't think like that. Especially people in the middle class or lower middle class complaining, well, the mortgage rates are so high, I can't own a home. Do you know how few people own homes in other countries? They're like living in back alleys and shacks and stuff. I mean, the rest of the world, we have no clue what goes on in the rest of the world. All right? I don't see how we lose on this tariff deal. It may get ugly. Wall Street may hate it. Hell, for all I know, Wall Street is so diabolical, they may know exactly what they're doing. They may be pulling a trick on all of us in our 401ks because we're just the little people out here with our life savings invested. They manipulate the markets. And if you don't believe that, do a little research on the Enrons, the big corporations, the BlackRocks, all these people out there doing all these things. They manipulate it. And they may be looking at this thing going, wow, let's sell right now. The market's pretty high. Let's get out. Let's all just make it look like a mass panic. Then all the Kevins in the world are going to call their advisor and say, hey, I have too many stocks. Let's rebalance the portfolio and get out of these stocks right now because this could get really bad. And then we start making it go down while they've paused. And then when it goes down, they put all their money back in and they get really rich. That's what they do. And that's possibly happening. I'm not smart enough to know. If I were, I'd just be an investor and I wouldn't be talking on the radio. But we've seen it before, and we absolutely know they did that during COVID. They completely freaked everyone out to where all the regular people sold and rebalanced their 401ks or whatever it was that they did, and then they came back in at 18,000, and those people bought and bought and bought, and within 2 years, it's doubled. It's back up to 35,000. They doubled their money. Buy low, sell high. It's a common concept, and right now, I think the stock market fears on this are crazy because I'm an optimist, but I don't know how we lose some sort of tariff war with Canada. They've got 26 million people, and their economy pales in comparison to ours. Love to hear your thoughts. 913-408-7957. That's 913-408-7957. The phone lines are wide open. If you'd like to join me today and chat about that, I got a million other topics we're going to get into today, but if you've got something you want to say, we always take phone calls here at Uncanceled, 913-408-7957. You're on KCMO Talk Radio. All right, welcome back to Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio. We are up for some phone calls here today, and my board in front of me just screams, oh, Canada. How is this going to work out? Let's start with Mark in Shawnee. Good morning, Mark. You're on Uncanceled. How are you today, sir?
Good, Kevin. This is so exciting. I'm so excited. I can't tell you, oh, Canada, the sad thing is I don't want them as a 51st state because they keep voting liberal loons in, just like the problems we have. They have government-funded health care, and I have a buddy who hunts in Canada. A lot of the Canadians say, this is terrible. You want to get your knee done, you're a year out. They have all the stuff that Biden wanted us to go to, and we don't want that. But what's great about this is Biden's been selling a steak. But what really we've been buying is hamburger. This market is bloated. It's not really real. And what's coming is real market and great times. We may have to go through a recession, but when we come out of this, I can't wait because this country's going to be great again. It's coming. It's great. I'm so excited.
Awesome, Mark. Phenomenal call. Thank you, sir. I greatly appreciate that. I think that's right. And who knew? Trump always uses these moments to teach us something we didn't know. 300% tariffs on dairy. That's like Wisconsin dairy going across the border into Canada. 300% tariffs? What? Are you kidding me? Yeah, and Trump, by the way, I think so highly of this guy. I think there's a chance this 51st state, it's one of two things. It's either just poppycock and he's using it as, fodder to get what he wants, which I'm good with. I don't really want Canada to be a state either. Or he must have some research, some polling that shows if Canada had free and fair elections, they would vote conservative because they don't have free and fair elections. So when we say they vote Democrat, they don't. There was no vote for this new guy. That was just the Liberal Party that voted. It wasn't all Canadians. They didn't elect anybody. They didn't get a chance to. It's ridiculous. All right, next up is Tim in the Northland. Good morning, Tim. You're on KCMO Talk Radio. What's on your mind?
Having a little breaking news here. I'm coming up 29 to work. I work right by the airport. There's this small plane pulling this banner. The banner's got to be a quarter mile long. It's for a store that's opening up here. And he is like in the lanes of air traffic. I saw one jet had to hold up to the east. And right now he's northeast of the airport, but it's they're doing advertising. But it's just crazy that they would let this fool fly that close to the airport when your major airport and have traffic coming in, especially with all the planes.
Well, don't you think if he committed a really bad infraction that they didn't want him to do, they would have grounded him?
You would think so, but like I said, when I was coming up, I saw we have planes that fly over our building, literally just about 150 feet above our building because the runway is right there. And I saw a regular major airliner to the east, and he had to do a holding pattern in midair out there to the east to let this guy go by. Why they're letting him do this, I have no idea. But he's flying up the east side of 29. He's looping towards the north side of the airport right now. So, I mean, I don't understand this, but with all the air traffic problems we've had with little planes and stuff like that, this is crazy.
Well, there's a whole lot. Thank you for the call. I appreciate it, Tim. Yeah. There's a whole lot of people concerned about aviation right now from the high-profile things that we've seen, that's for sure. Leonard is in Shawnee on KCMO Talk Radio. Good morning, Leonard.
How you doing, Keith?
Good, buddy.
Good. I agree with you on these tariffs and Trump. Like you say, he just wants every American to be happy and wealthy. And look at the contrast on the Democratic Party. There's no leadership at the top. And if anyone thinks that Barack Obama wants anyone else but himself to lead the Democratic Party, they're kidding themselves. And Keith, he lives by this, Barack Obama. It's not enough in life to succeed. One's friends must fail.
Okay. Well, you're getting profound on me today, Leonard.
What?
You're getting profound on me today.
Well, I mean, I just see the contrast, and Trump wants everyone to succeed, and he wants everyone to prosper. And on the other side, it just seems like a lot of times they're filled with hate, and they don't want anyone to prosper.
Yeah, and he seems very confident. I appreciate the call, Leonard, as always. Thanks for calling in. He seems very confident that I don't care what the news cycle is. I don't care what happens to the stock market right now. I don't care about any of this. This is going to work. And in the end, people are just going to be standing and cheering and applauding and clapping, and they'll have nothing bad to say about it. He seems exceedingly confident in all that. And I like that. And it should be that way. When you're the biggest, baddest economy like this, you should be able to do moves like this and make it better for all Americans. And that's what we've got our fingers crossed for. I'm Kevin Keatsman. This is Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio. Back to the phones in just a moment, but have you seen the latest on Jackson County's possibility of keeping the Kansas City Royals and building a new stadium? Deron McGee of the Jackson County Legislature, a Democrat, has given a quote to Fox 4 on Monday. This is unbelievable. We're 3 years into this thing. This is Jackson County. Quote, "We're just trying to figure out what the teams want, and at this point, we don't know a location." What? You're 3 years into this thing. One vote has already failed. We're trying to figure out what the team wants, and at this point, we don't know a location. And he said it's going to have to go back to voters, and, quote, "I don't know another way around that," end quote. Well, the voters aren't going to vote yes in Jackson County. Becky Nace, also on the legislature, has pointed out the vote would fail. And then she goes on to say it's a big, beautiful stadium that everybody loves and everybody says they like. Why do we need a new one? I mean, they're worse than they were on day one 3 years ago in Jackson County. It is remarkable, the bumbling that has gone on there with the Royals. Man, I'll tell you, if these public comments are all accurate, and these are politicians on the record, if these are all accurate, these teams are nuts. What are you doing even jacking around with these people anymore? What a complete and utter waste of time. All right, let's go back to the phones, and we will check in here with Dylan, calling in from Raymore. Hello, Dylan. How are you today?
Hey, Kevin. Sorry if I'm a little late to the party. It looks like you're shifting gears into another segment, but
No, it's all good.
With you on that tariff thing. You're absolutely right. I mean, the thing is, like this country we are the biggest consumer economy in the world, so we're not going to lose a tariff war. And Trump is right. People don't understand that these socialist countries, we've shipped off all these jobs over the last 50, 60 years. To these socialist countries, and the tariffs that they charge are ridiculous. And those tariffs fund their government and so the idea that Canada is going to ban our products and that's going to benefit them is absolutely absurd, because their government is just going to falter on that, because the socialist economy is unsustainable.
Well, Trudeau told Trump at Mar-a-Lago, without the $200 billion that we provide to Canada every year, they'd go broke. They wouldn't be able to sustain it. And that's when Trump said, okay, well, we'll just make you a state. If you can't sustain your country on your own without us, you can become the 51st state, but we're not going to do this anymore.
Absolutely. And then at the end of the day, what's going to end up happening is that you've got these businesses, these companies, in Canada, in China, that are producing products, and the bulk of the money they're making, the bulk of their sales are here in the United States. They're just going to bring their operations here in order to get around that, so they can continue to make money, which means we're going to see jobs blowing up here. And when you have jobs exploding, you're going to see a growth in wages as well. So with that, the supply and demand on labor. So
great call, Dylan. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time, man. Spread the word in Raymore that we're back on the air, okay?
Right on.
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate that. And the part that they don't emphasize and talk about, he said it a couple of times, this is the nasty part, okay? If you want to play this game and America's going to win it, America's going to get stronger and become more powerful, and these other countries are going to get weaker and weaker and weaker, because just as Dylan said, they're using this money to fund their government. Their governments will be broke, and those countries will be weaker. And I'm sorry, maybe I'm just a grumpy old man. I'm at the point in my life where I don't care if your country gets weaker. I want to win, okay? I've been working my whole life. I want to win. This seems like the opportunity of a lifetime for all of us right now. That's exactly what it feels like. Jeff is, not too far away from me, I don't think. He's in Arizona. You're selling your car, Jeff? What am I missing here? What's going on?
Oh, man. As a child, I had a rainbow lunchbox, and I loved rainbows. And because of what has happened, I had to get away from rainbows. You and Mundo keep bagging Subarus. I'm a retired heavy construction worker, and I'm on my second Subaru. It's only 2 years old, and you've scarred me so bad when I get back to Kansas City, thanks to you guys.
When did I ever say anything bad about Subarus? What did I say?
I think it was yesterday you said the Subaru drivers in Prairie Village or something.
I don't think that was me, buddy. Subarus are great cars. Let me just say this. Subarus are great cars, and the people who have them love them and are loyal to them like no other brand. They're amazing. Now, they're mostly crazy liberals that drive around in them. I'll say that, but that's not you, so you're in the minority.
You're profiling me, but I thought about keeping it and putting a big Trump sticker on the back and lighting everybody up. But no, when I get back to Kansas City, me and my wife already talked about it. I'm probably going back to a Jeep or something, because I just don't like the profile going on out here in Arizona or Kansas or anywhere else, man. So,
well, you let me know if you're looking for that Jeep or GM. I got a dealership in Excelsior Springs going to take good care of you. You'll put a Trump sticker on it for you.
Well, I tell you, I hear you, man, but I'm getting really thin-skinned in my old age, man. And everybody keeps bringing up these, and you are 100% right. They are driven by libs. So, hey, take care. Great show.
All right, buddy. Rock on in your Subaru. My wife's sister won't drive anything but Subarus. They live in Montana, and they are everywhere in Montana. They're phenomenal cars for that part of the country. They're really reliable. People who love them like nothing else. Truly the case. Here's Mike in Olathe on Uncanceled. This is KCMO Talk Radio. Hello, Mike. How are you today?
Hey, Kevin. How are you?
Fine, sir. Thank you.
Good. Yeah, you know, I'm just the average Joe, so I'm probably wrong. But when Trump won, I took my money out of the market just because when he says he's going to do something, he doesn't. People on Wall Street don't like the pain of tariffs. But if you look at it, and I'm just sitting back watching it, he's going after a smaller bite of the pie, which is Canada. But if you think about Canada, they import between 30 and 40%, I believe, of our lumber, okay? So you're seeing interest rates drop, lumber's coming in. Well, it's going to have tariffs, but we're going to win that game. So then that's going to bring down the cost of construction and materials so people can build their houses cheaper and then also get a lower interest rate. So, you know, but the scary thing is you got that big red communist country, China. But if you can start, you know, the two biggest expenses to American families are houses and cars. Well, right now, prices of houses are through the roof, and same with cars. But if you can get 30 or 40% of your lumber, because that's, you know, look at 2008 when you had the housing crisis. This is a crash. It drives a lot of the economy. So I think, you know, you look at Reagan when he was in office, you know, the farmers were ready to kill him in the first 2 years, and it was pretty rough. I think we're going to experience rough times, and Trump doesn't have time to mess around because, hey, after 2 years, he could lose the House and Senate. So he's got to get this thing rolling because if not, game, set,
right.
match. So that's
it.
You're
right.
It's a long game. It's a short game, but a long game.
And he's sending a pretty subtle message to China and other countries. If we'll do this to our friends, Canada, on our border, we'll damn sure do it to you. So, I mean, there's a powerful message with picking on Canada is a powerful message to the rest of the world. They're sitting there going, wow, he's being that tough with Canada. What's he going to do to us?
Because think how many lumber mills. If you were sitting around at COVID time, we were basically hamstrung on lumber, you know, and part of that was coming from Canada. They knew we were desperate. I mean, they just shut down the mills, you know?
Yeah,
it's like,
no doubt.
And that's a big driver.
No doubt. Great call, buddy. Appreciate you listening. Thank you very much, and feel free to call this broadcast anytime you like. I love these reports out of Houston. Over 600 illegal alien criminals have been grabbed and deported. They're saying that there are so many cartel and gang members in the Houston metro area that they have 3 to 6 months worth of massive arrests left, that it will wind up being thousands and thousands of criminals just in the city of Houston. Stephen Miller from the White House posted to all the illegals that there is a new CBP app. Remember the CBP app that people came from other countries and Biden just flew them in? They've redesigned the CBP app for all the illegals and said, go on the app, book yourself a flight home, or be deported and get arrested. Whatever's your choice. The Biden CBP app has now been reworked to where it's your exit. It's your return flight home. Go get on the app and get your butt out of here, or we're going to arrest you. We love that kind of action. Now, some of these, and people on the left are going crazy, are illegal aliens with DUIs. But you know what? Those people got to go too. A lot of people die at the hands of drunk drivers, but they say they're very low in number. Of these 600 plus in Houston, just a few were DUIs. Almost all of them are violent criminals, drug criminals, or sexual assault criminals. And they're going home. And it's a huge number. In the UK, they just released some findings of a study that they did that illegals in the United Kingdom are 70% more likely to commit a sex crime than someone that was born in Great Britain or the UK. 70% more likely. Now, those are the kind of numbers we need people to hear and see to understand the problem. It's never been that everybody that comes here illegally is an awful person and we don't want them around us. It's you should have done it the legal way. That's the main thing. The second thing is, since it's wide open and anybody come in, the worst of the worst are coming. You know they are. We just talked. We spent half the show today talking about what a fertile market the United States is to do business in. You don't think drug cartels want to do that? Human traffickers, every nefarious thing they're in, setting up what they do, it's just been an onslaught of business for these people over the last few years, and they got to go home. Love seeing that taking place in Houston, and they're talking tough in Texas, saying we're the best at this. We're the best state at this, and these people are gone. We are sending them all home. It's a beautiful thing. It really, truly is. A couple of sports notes here before we get to Mark in our final segment. The Chiefs made a whole bunch of moves, as we know, yesterday. I don't know how closely you follow Chiefs offseason. They got a new left tackle from the San Francisco 49ers, a free agent, Jalen Moore. 2 years, $30 million. We trust the Chiefs in what they're doing, yes, because they've been really good at this. This guy's never even been a starter, and they're going to make him a starter. He has started 9 games. He was drafted in 2021, but he's always been a rotational guy, never a starter. The Chiefs believe he's quality enough to be a starting left tackle. I guess we'll see. He played an extended period at the end of last year, and the Chiefs liked what they saw. They also signed a running back, Elijah Mitchell. A lot of people got excited because he runs a 4.35 40. Dude's never on the field. All right, Chiefs are taking a flyer on a guy here. The guy literally was never on the field last year. He had a hamstring injury, never played. His rookie year, he's pretty good. After that, he had a season where he busted an ankle, another one where he ripped an MCL. It's been one injury after another, including a hamstring. He played in the Super Bowl for the 49ers against the Chiefs a couple of years ago. 2 carries, 8 yards. So we'll see. Trey Smith is retained through the franchise tag. Hollywood Brown signs the 1-year contract. Nick Bolton, 3 years, $45 million. And the Chiefs have lost a couple of players. They lost Tershawn Wharton, who we all liked and made some big plays last year, but he got a way bigger contract than the Chiefs were going to give up, and receiver Justin Watson is gone as well. So a lot of movings going on with the Chiefs. Thought we'd pass those along to you if you haven't been following them. Generally speaking, there's been nothing that changes what I think about the Chiefs and what they've done here. I don't think they're any better. I don't think they're any worse. To me, they're just treading water with these moves, and we'll see. They're taking a flyer on a couple of free agents they hope work out. Nothing has moved the needle for me. Nothing has happened so far, like Joe Thuney being traded. The offensive lineman didn't freak me out and say, oh, that's it, the Chiefs can't win next year. There's been nothing that's moved the needle at all for me so far this offseason. It's just been pretty normal business for the Chiefs. 913-408-7957 if you want to join the show, and we'll check in with Mark next on Uncanceled. All right, let's check in with Mark Van Sickle and see if he can figure out the why or how to stories that I spring on him. And remember, many of these we've never discussed. Today, none of them. He doesn't know where we're going with any of these. Are you ready today, Mark?
Oh, yeah, let's go.
All right, here we go. A widow is suing the Palazzo Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas because her husband died while they visited there together of a fentanyl illegal drug overdose. Why would she be suing the Palazzo when her husband took illegal drugs and died?
Did one of their employees supply him?
Oh, I had not thought of that. That is a great guess. You've won the contest. That's not the correct answer. She says she's claiming in her lawsuit, I can't read this without laughing. She's claiming in her lawsuit that security at the remember, this woman lost her husband. The security at the Palazzo should have known that her husband was followed by a pimp who targeted him as a guest and provided him with a $1,000 a night prostitute who gave him the drugs.
Poor man.
I mean, what about her? She's still alive. Now she's like, oh my God, my husband, and I went to Vegas, my husband, he got a $1,000 a night hooker and died from a drug overdose with her. So I think I'll sue the casino? What in the world? Woo, that's some crazy stuff. Okay, how about this one? Have you heard of the singer and former actor Rick Springfield?
Yes.
He sings Jesse's Girl, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knows that song. He went and got a whole body MRI and found a brain injury that he didn't know he had. Where do you think he got the brain injury?
Did he play
Or
football?
how?
Maybe previous.
He did not play football.
Okay. Falling down the stairs.
Very close. He fell on stage in Las Vegas. We got a Vegas theme here today. Mm-hmm. In the year 2000, 25 years ago, he fell 25 feet. He broke his hand and his wrist. He hit his head, and it toppled some wood or some stuff around the stage that also landed on his head. It was a terrible injury. 25 feet's a long way to fall off of a stage. So he remembered that, and his doctor said, oh, yeah, you hurt your brain when you did that 25 years ago. He's 75. Would you do a whole-body MRI? Do you want to know everything that's going on with your body, or are you a person that doesn't want to know?
I don't want to know. I'm always nervous that next time I go to the doctor, they're going to say something's terrible. Something terrible is wrong with me. But, you got to go get these things checked out.
I definitely used to be the I don't want to know thing, and now I think I want to know. I think I want to know, yeah. Southwest Airlines is changing its bag policy. The 2 bags fly free is now for only A-list members and credit card holders. But they say their basic fares are going to be lower. My friends have looked at me like I have a disease mark for years because I've said to them, those bags are not free on Southwest. We would always comparison shop fares from Kansas City to Phoenix. Both American and Southwest fly nonstop. American was always $75 cheaper than Southwest to fly, but you had to pay for bags. We don't bring bags. We just take a carry-on, and that's that. So Southwest was charging for bags all those years. I never understood why people thought bags flew free. Their prices went up.
So the tickets cost more. You just didn't have to pay for the bags, but it's pretty much
That's
like
right.
you're paying for the bags.
And they've now proven me to be right because they're saying A-list members, their best flyers, will get free bags. But those of you that don't get free bags, we're lowering the fares. So a lot of people don't want to travel with bags. They don't want to check bags. They just want to get on the flight and go. Those people were all paying for bags before, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, if I'm flying by myself, it's always just a backpack or something I can just carry
right.
on with me. So, yeah, it shouldn't. I mean, I guess with my family flights, we don't fly a ton, but it could affect us. We like to fly Southwest.
Yeah, family vacation for sure. You're going to have to pack some bigger bags. You remember Baton Girl from yesterday's show, the Virginia girl, the high school track star that was running in the relay race, and the girl behind her whacked her in the head with the baton?
Mm-hmm.
The girl who whacked the other girl says it was an accident.
Oh, no.
Have you seen the video, Mark?
I have. It doesn't look like an accident, but...
No, it's not an accident. She whacked her on purpose, and she says, oh, it was an accident and a misunderstanding, and she can't believe all the hate that's coming her way.
Here's the thing. I do want to see the full video because it almost looks like she stops to help the girl. If she hit her on purpose, why would she stop to help the girl? I need to see the full video.
I think maybe she was just trying to dishevel her a little bit and not like crack her skull. She whacked her hard, man.
She did. Concussion and everything.
All right. Did you see the video of the KUMU hockey brawl?
Yes.
Yeah,
Those
that was a couple days ago. And this was in Overland Park at the Blue Hawk thing. Did you know the cops went out on the ice on that deal?
No.
What? I love the police officers, but wouldn't they be completely ineffective going out on the ice to try to get a hockey player arrested?
Yeah, and that's what they do in hockey. Why would they go out there and try to stop it?
I know. Well, there was 4 different fights, and it lasted a long time.
Okay.
But not as bad as the one in Pennsylvania at a high school basketball game where players and fans were arrested this week at a game. Fans came out of the stands and started fighting. What's going on with all the sports fights?
And then there was that Michigan guy that got pushed at center court.
Yes.
Michigan State and Michigan, their little rivalry.
Right. We need more love in sports, Mark, like loving Hunter Dickinson, first-team All-Big 12 performer, averaged 17 points and 10 rebounds. Great year, huh?
That was a solid season. Still more to go.
There you go. He is playing his best. Thanks for listening to Uncanceled. It's Dan Bongino's final week, and he is up next, right now, on KCMO Talk Radio.